You want to be a consistent trader, but you're busy, burnt out, and running on fumes. Your schedule is packed, your focus is fractured, and let's be honest, your discipline slips the minute things get chaotic. But what if the solution isn't trading more or trying harder? What if it's building habits like a professional athlete? Because consistency doesn't come from hype, it comes from routine and discipline. And today I'm going to show you the exact habits that turn a scattered routine into something structured, repeatable, and calm, even if your life isn't. Hi, my name is Janet and this is 𝗟𝗶𝗹𝗃. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button below so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Let's get into it. Everyone talks about talent and results, but the real difference makers, they build systems. Michael Jordan didn't become great because he wanted to win. He became great because he trained like a machine. From 5 a.m. gym sessions to hundreds of free throws after practice to watching game tapes on his own. He trained in silence, so when the spotlight hit, he was ready to execute and perform. Now there was also a case with the British cycling team. And if you have read the book Atomic Habits, then you'll already know this story. But it's where the British cycling team went from irrelevant to unbeatable. And what they did was focus on being 1% better at everything. From bike seats, hand washing, nutrition, sleep, and airflow. The compounding effect of those small improvements, Olympic gold, Tour de France dominance. In trading, it's the exact same thing. You don't need to overhaul your strategy overnight. You need to improve on the little things. It's the 1% better prep, 1% better entries, 1% better emotional control. You just need to improve in small areas, one decision at a time. Like this. This is one of those subtle 1% improvements. Here is a trade setup that I shared in our Discord earlier today. And maybe in the past I would have forced an entry here just because price was moving fast. But now I wait for price to pull back, I check the liquidity, I wait for structure confirmation, and I give the trade more time to shape up. And that tiny change, it makes all the difference. So just like a cyclist improving their seat position by 1%, or Jordan tweaking his footwork, checking that one extra confluence, setting that one alert, pausing before you enter, that's your version of 1% better. Because the work you do outside the trade is what determines how well you perform inside it. You don't become consistent by forcing results. You become consistent by acting like the trader you want to be. And this bit might sound a little bit creepy, but think about the trader you admire. If they're living the kind of lifestyle you want, ask yourself, what are the habits behind that success? Maybe they sleep 8 hours a night. Maybe they carve out 2 hours a day to study, reflect, or prepare their charts. Maybe they eat well, move their body, or log every trade without fail. Those routines didn't just get them consistent, they keep them consistent. But here's the thing. Their routine might not fit your life exactly. You might have kids, you might work full time, you might be juggling things that they don't have to think about. But the principle still applies. You can still take those same habits and implement them in a way that fits your reality. Maybe that means 15 minutes of prep after dinner, or journaling trades on your lunch break. If the trader you admire has already paved the way for you and walked the same path, then you're not trying to reinvent the wheel or change the strategy. You want to implement similar things into your life. The point is this. You don't need to have their life. You just need to start showing up like the trader you want to become before the results ever show up on the chart. Every action is a vote for your identity. Michael Jordan didn't just train like an athlete, he visualized himself as a champion. Every decision, every rep, every shot supported that identity. The British cycling team didn't just want to race better, they wanted to be the best in the world, so they made decisions like the best in the world. So how do you bring that same energy into your actual trading? Using the setup from earlier in the video, let's look at it through a different lens. This wasn't just about finding a trade, this was about choosing to wait, even though the market had already made the move and could have broken out from this point. In the past, I might have chased the move, trying to catch the possible breakout, but the trader I'm working to become, In an uncertain move like this, waits for confirmation. She lets price come back to her entry range. She wants confluence, not chaos. So now I am waiting for structure to form inside my zone, not because it's easy, but because it's how I prove to myself that I trade with intention. That's what it means to act in alignment with the trader you want to become, and that's how consistency is built, one calm decision at a time. Greatness comes from doing the right things repeatedly, not just once. You're not hoping to be consistent, you're becoming consistent by executing your model or strategy trade after trade, the same way athletes train rep after rep. If you want consistency, you need rhythm, and rhythm comes from stacking habits in real life. Just like an athlete doesn't show up to a game hoping to be ready, they prime themselves with the exact same pre-game ritual or warm-up routine before every game. The same footwork, the same movements, the same shots. The British cycling team did this too. They didn't just stretch when they felt tight, they stretched after every meal. They logged sleep after every race. They weren't guessing. They stacked routines into everything. So in trading, that might look like after a coffee, you mark up the higher time frame bias. After the school run, you review your watch list. Before bed, you spend 3 minutes reflecting on trades from the day. These aren't huge tasks, but over time, they compound. When your trading routine is built into your lifestyle, you don't have to force discipline. You just follow your flow. So let me show you an example of what this looks like for me on a typical day. So during the US session is when I am asleep. Somewhere during this shaded background, which is the dead gap zone, I am waking up. But in that time, I do my morning routine, I get my kids ready for school, and then do the school drop off. After that, I have roughly an hour, hour and a half to do all of my charting and hunt for trade setups. So if I go back to that trade setup that I shared earlier in the TTC Discord, you can see that I shared it within that time frame that I just showed you earlier, meaning I woke up in this section here, Asia session, I come to the charts and I can see that the price has moved away, and this is the area where I am hunting for my trades. So before I headed to the gym, I marked this level as my high probability entry zone using the TBD system. I had confluence with the vector candles, the EMAs, the US settle, 50% at the high or the low of the day, the Asia initial low of the day, etc. And everything lined up for me for this area to be the area to watch if we were going to get continuation to the upside. So there's no need for me to babysit this trade. I simply set the alert. If the alert goes off at a time where I am not busy, all I need to do is quickly check the charts to see if anything has changed. But if nothing has changed, then I'm just waiting to execute. And because waiting for my trade to actually shape up takes time, if nothing is present just yet, then it gives me time to either review my trades, go back through my trading journal, catch up on any studying that I wanted to do. That's how I build consistency, not by having more time, but by making smart use of the time I already have. If you need an exchange to trade on, consider checking out Bitunix. It is non-KYC, so you can use it from pretty much anywhere in the world. Bitunix offers futures and spot trading, and they've recently introduced an earn program, which means you can now stake your crypto to earn passive interest on it. By using the link in the description below, you'll get a lifetime 20% trading fee rebate on all of your trades, and that's not just a welcome bonus. So if you're looking for a reliable exchange to trade on, check out Bitunix and make sure you use the link below to get your fee rebate. Now, athletes don't just train for power, they train for flow. They don't want to waste energy figuring things out in the heat of the moment. Jordan didn't walk into the gym wondering what to do. The countless hours behind the scenes and his routine was the game plan. And the cycling team, they didn't guess what gear to use. Every decision from seat height to sock material was already made before race day. And that's what you need to do too. When the market is live, your thinking should already be done. You're just executing the plan. That means your alerts are already set, your risk is already defined, your journal process already mapped out. Because the goal isn't to make perfect decisions in the moment. It's to prepare so well that you can trust your decisions when the pressure hits. So right now you can see that we're in my entry range of the trade alert that I put out in the TTC community earlier. And this is what I have basically written. Wait for bullish candles, consolidation, or a W in my entry range. So far we are consolidating, but it looks like we may come down to get a W formation in my entry range. So right now I'm still waiting to execute, and if I do get my bullish candles and I get a higher low in the UK session, it's going to give me a better risk to reward should I get my entry conditions met. Let me show you a real example of a trade that I am currently in, and I'll be honest, I missed the prime entry on this one because I was asleep. So currently this is what my trade looks like, and I'm still in it because we are holding the 200 EMA, and that is acting as our dynamic support. But let's break down the entry. So first of all, I could identify the W formation here, and we have a rise level 1, and now I was waiting for the retrace to happen back into my area of interest, which is this one here. Now I'm charting this on the 4-hour time frame. However, once price comes into my area of interest, I would drop down to a smaller time frame to try hunt a better entry or risk to reward. So it came back into the area of interest, this vector candle. It lines up with the golden pocket fib retracement level, and we got a W formation there. So now I'm going to drop down to the 15-minute time frame because clearly my entry is a little bit higher than this W formation and my stop loss is a lot tighter. But when I come down to the 15, I can show you more clearly why I entered. So this is the big W formation that formed in the area of interest. I also know that this here was the low of the week from the previous week. Because I was asleep during the second peak of the W formation, because I wake up in this shaded area here, when I looked at the chart, I seen that US session had spiked the low. Dead gap zone gave us the initial low of the day, which is this doji candle here. And when Asia opened, they gave us a higher low. So US, dead gap zone, and Asia session, all three of them combined is something that I would look for when I am trading Asia. And then with this move here, we have volume through the 50 EMA, the 200 EMA, and had reclaimed the low of the week. Now you might be asking, why didn't I wait for a retest back to the 50, 200 EMA, or even a recovery of this vector candle here before looking for the entry? And the reason is because when I looked at the news events, I could see that Japan had had a bank holiday Monday, Tuesday, and at the time of binding this trade, it was Thursday. So let's go back to the 4-hour time frame. During the previous moves in here and here, but on BTC, Asia wasn't having typical sessions and they were the ones pushing the moves to the upside. So if I could find my setup, then I'm going to preempt that Asia isn't going to have a typical session and they were going to run a trend. So I took a shot on it. So I entered on the retest of the 10 EMA on the 15-minute time frame with my stop loss covering the meetup point of the 50, the 200 EMA, and the low of the week. And from there, Asia gave me what I wanted. They didn't have a typical session where they consolidate between 1 to 2%, and instead they ran a trend. Once price started to take off, I am no longer watching the 15-minute time frame, and instead I am watching the 4-hour time frame. The 15-minute time frame was just the time frame I was using to get my entry. Now that I'm here, I can see that we have volume through the 4-hour 50 EMA. We have now created a higher high, so my target is the 3-month heat map. So I hold the trade until it hits that area, and you can see we have now hit it, and that is where I secured some of my profit. And now I am just watching it, because what if this is the best possible entry that I could get, and maybe, just maybe, we go into a mini alt season. So I'm willing to hold on to this trade as long as bullish market structure remains intact on the 4-hour time frame. So price has now come back to the 200 EMA. This is okay. It's also a retest of this resistance / support. We're still holding. So there's no reason for me to completely exit this trade. And if I am to count my levels, then I could be wrong and this is a V bottom instead of a W formation. But we have a rise level 1, a rise level 2, and maybe we get our rise level 3. But I'm also cautious that the 800 EMA is there. And if we cannot break above this point, then maybe that was it for alt season and we fall over. But for now, bullish market structure is there and there's no reason for me to exit this trade. I'd be looking for it to do something like this. That would be great. So I adjusted. I waited for price to reclaim the low of the week with volume confirmation. No panic, no chasing, just relying on everything that I have learned in regards to news events, liquidity, the model we trade, and trusting that framework. This is where planning meets flexibility. Yes, I missed the perfect entry, but I didn't force anything, because when you're prepared, even your plan B can be executed with clarity. Part of this preparation is also journaling smart. Journaling isn't just about venting or writing a paragraph about how you felt. It's not a therapy session, it's a tracking tool. When it's structured, it helps you reflect, spot patterns and build conviction over time. And most importantly, it becomes easy to keep up with even when life gets messy. Athletes don't ignore mistakes, they study them. Jordan watched his own tape, even his mistakes. The British cycling team reviewed everything, even if they won. It wasn't about ego, it was about refinement. Most traders either ignore losing trades, get emotional about them, or even throw their trading journal out the window just to start a new one from scratch so they don't have to face the reality of those losing ones. However, don't. Review them like a coach. Let's review these trade examples. So let's say you took this long position because you've seen that we were coming from an uptrend. We created a higher low. Price has gone into consolidation above the EMA. So you pull the trigger on the hammer in the UK session. Your stop loss is below previous market structure, covering the EMAs. Price then moved in your favor before taking you out. Was it a bad trade? These are the questions you want to ask yourself. No, I don't think it was a bad trade. Price did start to pull away. We did start to see volume coming in. However, US session took that back and you got wicked out, and it's just unfortunate. With the second trade, you think, oh, it's not breaking above resistance. We've been here many times. Maybe this level is too strong. I'm going to take a short position. Take profit being back at this previous low, and price moves in your direction, however falls short of your take profit. So the idea was right for a while before price swiftly turned around and took you out. So was it a bad trade? Not entirely. It was okay at the time. And then when we look at this trade here, this is the one that calls FOMO. So price broke out, we've seen the volume come in, it broke resistance, and on this bullish railroad track, you pulled the trigger for the long position. Stop loss, again, you had it too tight. It was under your entry, and you're convinced this time that it's going to break out to the high of the week, and you have now been taken out. Now, was this a bad trade? Yeah. Probably got FOMO, had tried to force two trades during the week, and both of them failed because of the consolidation. And again, like I just said, you convinced yourself that this one is the one that's going to break out. However, price is now taking you out. So these are the questions you want to ask yourself when you are reviewing your trade. You want to ask yourself, where was I in the model? Did I need to zoom out and see where we were on the higher time frame? Because when you zoom out, you can clearly see that all of this week on AVAX has just been sideways consolidation, and I got caught up in the chop. So you might say to yourself when you're reviewing your trade, I need to remind myself to zoom out, see how the candles are closing. Are we just consolidating? Not to force trades during the consolidation, and give it time to brew before looking for that breakout. Did it align with the model? What did I learn? And would I take this trade again? Because now that I am here on the 1 hour time frame, no, I wouldn't have taken this trade. No, I wouldn't have taken this trade either. And no, I wouldn't have taken this trade. So in reality, I wouldn't have taken any of those trades. What I would have done is wait for the breakout to happen, like what has happened here, and then wait for it to come back, prove the move with a higher low, and then I think about executing my trade. If you're loving this structure and want to learn for yourself and see it applied in real time, join us inside 𝗟𝗶𝗃𝗹𝗃. We've built a membership system that gives you access to everything we offer, from beginner courses to advanced strategy breakdowns. These are the exact strategies we teach and talk about on this channel. Now, we offer 2 types of memberships to suit your style. The first one is a self-learning membership that's perfect if you prefer to learn at your own pace without distraction. You'll get the learning material and the pro team daily market updates, but it's 100% self-paced, so if you have any questions, there's no direct access to the team. It's all about independent learning. The second option includes full community access. If you know you'll benefit from being able to ask questions, join live sessions, and be part of a supportive group, that's the one that I would recommend. So whether you like to go it alone or be part of a trading community, we've got a path for you. You can check out both options using the link below. When you start reviewing your trades like a coach, not judging them, but learning from them, that's when real progress begins. Jordan didn't study film to dwell on mistakes. He studied it so he could adjust and refine, get just a little bit better for next time. And that's exactly what the British cycling team did. They didn't overhaul everything at once. They just focused on being 1% better each day. And your 1%, it might be something really small, like checking liquidity when you plan your trade, or glancing at Trading Light to see where buy and sell orders are stacked, or making sure to check major news events while you're doing your technicals. Maybe it's as simple as journaling your trades at the end of the day, just one reflection. These don't sound like big changes, but the more you do them, the more natural they become. And once they're part of your flow, it becomes easier to stack the next 1% on top. You're not trying to go full send mode to the point where you get burnt out. You're layering, and that's the small steps done consistently that compound into something powerful.